Okay, this is Orlando Wilson, and what I want to talk about in this video is drugs being used to target people for sexual assault, robbery, kidnapping, etc., and also how they can be used to target CP teams. Think about it from the close protection perspective. How often have you heard about CP teams or CP guys, bodyguards, getting involved in shootouts to protect their clients? Not very often. Usually when that type of thing happens, the bodyguards are the first ones to die. Now think about how many times you've heard about people being drugged in bars, clubs, etc. That's a lot more common. So that is a lot more common threat than, well, from a close protections perspective, being drugged is a lot more common threat than getting involved in a shooting. But everybody puts an emphasis on firearms training, martial arts, etc., which are essential skills. But there's a lot more threats out there that you have to pay attention to. Now, most people associate people being drugged with date rape, usually females who are drugged for sexual assault. This can also happen to males. Males are usually drugged for robbery. I was living in South Florida for a long period of time, and this applies to any major capital city, any major party location. And it was common there to see in the news where guys went out to nightclubs, bars, wearing the flash watches, wearing the flash clothes, etc., getting targeted by females, getting drugged. Going back to a guy picks up a couple of chicks, he thinks he's in for a night of his life, and halfway through his fantasy he passes out because the girls have drugged him. He wakes up in the morning, everything's gone. He loses his watch, loses his cash, etc., etc. I would say the number of those crimes reported, I'd say, is minimal. I'd say it happens a lot more than it is reported. Why? Because a lot of guys don't want to be embarrassed by admitting they was robbed by a couple of chicks, right? The other thing with this, in a lot of places, if you go to the police and tell them you were drugged and robbed, they're not going to believe you. They'll think you took the drugs yourself. And they do that to protect the reputation of the bars, the clubs, their tourist business, etc. I remember one location in Eastern Europe, one nightclub specifically, and it was known if foreigners went in there, flashing the $100 bills, wearing the Gucci watches, nice clothes, etc., that the bar staff would spike their drinks. And when the guys passed out, was getting drowsy, the bouncers would help them outside and empty their pockets, etc. If these guys, the victims, went to the police the next day, the cops would be like, were you drinking? Yes, okay, you were drunk. What's the problem? But I was drugged. No, you took the drugs yourself. Prove you didn't. You can't remember anything. If these guys, the victims, happen to see the bouncers wearing their watches, what could they do? All the bouncers got to say in their defense is, you were that screwed up. We walked you out nice and safely. You gave us your watch. You gave us your wallet as a thank you. So thank you very much. Goodbye. So this is where, once you get involved in, if you get drugged, there's a lot of people will be trying to put the emphasis on you, that you're not the victim, that you screwed yourself up because you were out partying. I know one lady, she went to a very upscale restaurant in Fort Lauderdale, restaurant bar. She was there for one drink, business, and as she was leaving, she felt drowsy, got in a car, luckily drove home safely. As soon as she got home, she passed out. And it turned out she was roofied. And she said her and the business person she was meeting with, some guy started talking to them, whatever. They blew him off after they had one drink, and she reckons that was the guy that drugged her. She went to the doctors, there was drugs in her system, etc. She contacted me the next day saying, is there anything we could do about this? It's like, there's not really much we can do. Because anybody's defense, the bar's defense, etc., is going to be you took the drugs yourself. If me as a private investigator started sniffing around that bar and asking them for their CCTV and all the rest of it, they would be wanting court orders, etc. If she went to the police, The police would be like, okay, prove you didn't take the drugs yourself, and okay, you didn't get hurt, nothing happened, thank you, goodbye. And the chances are with most bars and nightclubs, unless they're pressured, unless you hit a good one, if they get a sniff that somebody's been drugged in their bar, restaurant, etc., they're just going to wipe the CCTV. Why? They don't want that type of thing to hurt their reputation. So this is where you have to be very, very careful. If you're out drinking, if you're going to bars, nightclubs, and you don't have to be drinking hard, just having a drink, you have to be very careful your drinks are not spiked. If you leave a drink unattended, when you come back, get rid of it, order a new one. Do not accept drinks from strangers, etc., etc. It's basic stuff. I know one couple, they came from my classes in South Florida, and they were on holiday in Istanbul, older couple, very, very nice, and they bought some tea or something from a kid on the street. After the guy drank, the husband drank the tea, he said he felt drowsy, and he started to pass out. And the wife, luckily, looked around and she realized that there were older kids, teenagers, following them and watching them. And she got her husband into a shop. The shop owner understood, called them a taxi, they went back to their hotel. So that type of thing can happen on the street if you're ordering tea. It doesn't have to be in a nightclub somewhere and you're ordering liquor, alcohol, etc. Now, from a close protection perspective, a lot of criminals don't want fights, they don't want confrontations. If I see a CP team and they're all tooled up, they're all big guys, etc., do I want a confrontation? No. It'd be far easier for me just to drug them, right? If I'm a serious criminal, and the criminals do this, they'll go out, they'll follow their target, be it the client, be it the CP guys, etc. Watch their routines. Where do they go? Where do they drink, etc. They see you drinking at a specific coffee place every day. Okay, how much to bribe the barista to spike your drinks? You can't do anything if you're drugged, etc. It doesn't have to be. You could knock out a whole CP team just by buying them drinks or buying them lunch and spiking everything with laxatives. Your CP team are not going to be too effective if we're all sat on the toilet, right? Simple. So from a close protection perspective, a security detail perspective, don't take food and drink from people you don't know, period. And you have to be very, very careful that you're not drugged, because to me, that's the easiest way to knock out most CP teams. If I think that way, if I have identified that threat, so have the criminals. So be very, very careful what you drink, where you drink it, etc., where you order your food from. And I was saying to somebody as well, if I was watching somebody and I saw they ordered all their groceries through somewhere like, you got in US, Amazon Prime, etc., they'll deliver your groceries to your door. Okay, how much would it cost to, one, bribe the delivery guy to syringe your orange juice with a drug? Or if your groceries are left on your doorstep, to go up and syringe your orange juice with a drug to knock you out, etc. So it's not difficult. And if you're under a serious threat, you have to be very wary. Or if you're dealing with a client that's under a serious threat, you have to be very, very wary of ensuring your food and beverages are not tampered with in any way. So I hope that makes you think about a few things. I've got an array of books online, three specifically to do with close protection. I'm throwing up a lot more of these videos to do with various aspects of close protection, personal security, kidnap and ransom, etc., etc. So follow us on social media, be it LinkedIn, YouTube, Instagram, etc. And a lot of these videos, the articles, the books should be able to answer your questions and give you some good insight into the realities of the close protection world, private investigation world, etc., etc. So be good, stay out of trouble, and don't go accepting drinks from strangers.